impact you can make by tiny, tiny gestures.
Depending on the person, you can really go like deep into the eyes of the person.
It's possible for everybody as well to dive super deep. It doesn't have to be religious or anything.
I'm just gonna go with the flow, because then you will arrive at some point at a moment where you felt like, wow, this happened to me.
Your own perception of life in your own way, connected to some cult or whatever. It can be just purely your own perception of life in your own way. Just wanted to say that I have nothing to add to this.
I will let you introduce yourself and how we met, if it's okay for you.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So, who want to start?
Hello. Yeah, the three of us, we met at a Tantra workshop here in Koh Phangan. That was 2 days ago at the moon eclipse in Libra. And so we came to like this energetic Tantra workshop, and it ended up being much more sensual than we expected. So in the end, we needed to do groups of exchanging sensuality with giving and receiving this to each other through massage, for example, or through caressing. So the three of us ended up in a group, and now 2 days later, Damien invited us to do podcasts already that same day when we all went to dinner afterwards. Today we finally managed to meet up to make a podcast, and so we decided to come to the beach here. And then out of the water, there suddenly appeared Leo, who was part of the team that day in the Tantra workshop. So everything was super aligned. And so we ended up being the three of us here by coincidence, basically, which is pretty magical and not so unusual on this magical vortex island. So right now we're sitting here on a very beautiful hidden beach full of rose quartz crystals. So the rocks here and everything is from rose quartz. We're basically sitting on quartz crystals. And I'm very curious to find out what this podcast is going to bring out. Thank you.
Yeah, you can give the mic to
Thank
Leo.
you.
You can introduce yourself and then like say anything you want to share about how we met or about anything you feel. So. You can take your time also before to talk.
My name is Leo. At the moment. What's happening?
Here it's have to be always green. It's okay.
Hello. So yeah, it's very, very funny how we met. And what's most funny for me is actually that after this Tantra workshop, Damien asked us if we want to participate in the podcast. And he was talking about the next day at 11 before noon. And I didn't really feel it the next day. I was very tired and just wanted to make a rest day. And I was thinking, but I want to do the podcast as well. And but then I let it go and just surrendered to what my body told me what I should do, which was really resting and sleeping a lot. And so now today I'm just having no plan, just flowing around, and ended up here in this beautiful beach in the water. And then all of a sudden Damien and Sophia appear with all the podcast gear and telling me that they want to do the podcast now. So yeah, what I learned from this is that the fear of missing out is really very unnecessary. Of course, everything has its place. Nothing is good or bad. But just learn to let go more and more. because everything happens at the right time, like always. So yeah, that's mainly what's in my mind at the moment. What happens next, Damien?
Then, well, maybe I can explain also how did I met you, because at the beginning it was just on my scooter, as I told, as I say at the beginning of the workshop, and I I was like for a few seconds a little bit confused about what I have to do, so I asked to God or universe or what is more connected to send me something, and uh, and then someone stopped me on the road. Someone called Sophia, and it's not you, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
you didn't know it?
I didn't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Her name was Sophia as
Yeah,
well.
her name was Sophia.
Wow, that's
So
amazing. Like this cape.
yeah,
That's so funny.
I was going to the gym,
Yes.
and she asked me, can you give me a ride? I said, yeah, just tell me when we arrived. And then actually she was going just in front of the gym. So then she just tell me, yeah, come at 6. It was at 6, right? 6 p.m. Come at yoga session, something like this. I say, okay, I will come. And and so I came, and she was not here, but it was good. I didn't know what to expect too, but then I saw good energy in this place, so I just decided to stay. So I meditate a little bit, and then everybody arrived. Then they start to explain what is it about, um, and then we met. Oh no, first we met Leo and you, and me. Sorry. Um, it was just I saw light in you, so I told you this. You remember? And yeah, I saw light. I say, wow, good light. And you gave me a compliment also. I don't remember what was it. And then we started kind of dancing, something like this. And then we, with eyes closes, then we met uh, each other, and we our eyes so you remember?
Yes, so we met first with eyes closed.
I think so.
I
Yeah, you can.
I believe it was.
Because
Yeah.
me, I had the eyes closed. Then I was like with my fingers uh, touching other fingers.
Yeah.
Then I opened my eyes, and it was you.
Oh well, that's possible.
When she say now you can open your eyes, I think
Ah,
that's why, because she say
yeah.
you can see it, and then we start to talk.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like this.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's how we met each other. But also, just to precise, you don't know each other. You,
Yeah. Like yeah,
Leo and
we don't
Sophia,
know each other. We
don't know
met
each other.
also eye gazing in a circle. So we were just walking through the circle. I was supposed to like look into the eyes of the people. So with some people, I would just have like really brief moments of looking into the eyes. With some people, it would be a little bit longer, and we ended up looking pretty long time into each other's eyes because it was really nice and comfortable. And I feel like a lot of people, I didn't felt that comfortable looking so long into their eyes. And more of that, I actually felt it was for some people like not so comfortable to look so much into my eyes because I think they're like super long because I feel like I bring like it's like depending on the person you can really go like deep into the eyes of the person. I feel like I think I transmit like a lot of deepness maybe in the eyes, so it's like not everybody feeling comfortable with it. And then also I felt like between the three of us, like in all of your eyes, and it's like this innocence of just like sharing like connection, while some people like always connected like with directly with like sexual energy or like an intention to attachment to particular outcome, and I didn't felt this with any of you, so it was just like looking into each other's eyes and just like getting somehow like lost, and I really enjoyed this. And yeah, it's funny because when I came in, also there was nobody besides the two of you and Anouk, yeah. And so you were the first people that I saw as well. And there was one other person, but yeah, the two of you and her were the first people that I saw already like sitting there. And I was a bit nervous in the beginning. I was like, should I leave again? Do I feel this energies? Am I supposed to be here? But then I just surrendered as well to the moment, being like, yeah, you're here now, so just be here and like let go of all the other things. Yeah.
Thank you very much. If you don't have anything to share about this first chapter, which is how we met each other and introducing ourselves, we can go to the second one that I don't know still the title, but we can choose together.
Well, what I would like to do, what I mentioned before, is like that what we learned in the Tantra course, which was like creating this like safe bubble. So, so it would be nice if we could do this. It's like we created in the Tantra course. We were asked before we do the exchange and the sharing circle that we did in the group of 3, like create a safe bubble around us, where we can just feel completely ourselves, and where we can take out everything that we don't want and bring all the energies in that we want. And particularly we want to do this for, I think, like good communication, to bring out mosquitoes. And also what I love to do, what I would like to add into that, it's a technique that I know is like for conversations or for any kind of things, but particularly for conversations, you can ask certain brothers and sisters or certain energies to join us, which would be the brother or sister or the energy of open communication, the energy of honesty, the energy of clarity and wisdom, like everything that we want to like invoke in ourselves and in this like communication circle, we could like ask to come to join us and support us here. So I would love to do that task with the two of you.
Amazing. Let's do it.
Perfect. Okay, so now we're gonna create a safety bubble energetically.
Safety bubble. Oh wow, that's a cozy bubble.
Yes, I was even like feeling and seeing it. Such a strong bubble. Wow.
We can touch it, right?
Yes, it's like really bubbly. Oh wow.
I take out fear.
In the mic, we can say.
I take out fear.
You take out anxiety.
Yeah.
I take out misunderstandings, dishonesty, mosquitoes,
Let's put out mosquitoes, yeah.
and discomfort. I also take out any discomfort, physical, emotional, mental, whatever. I would like to take in honest communication.
Yeah,
I will.
same.
I would like to take in like a technical good, because if one camera stop, so good technical aspect.
That's true, yeah. I want to take in also open communication, clarity and wisdom, and capability of receiving and transmitting messages clearly. Yeah.
Let's put inside all the message of synchronicity we can share to the world, or to the ones who are listening this podcast.
I just wanted to say that I have nothing to add to this.
Okay. I want to put in some fun and comfort as well.
Yeah. Some humoristic parts,
Yeah.
some
And
loud.
enjoy and good sounds, like good sound transmission.
Yeah, yeah, good vibes.
Yeah.
Everything is vibration. So good vibes. So maybe we can go to the third chapter,
Mm-hmm.
which we still don't have it, but we can maybe have something you would like to share. Uh, like for example, if you have to share one main idea with the world, or with, or if maybe one person is listening this podcast, only one,
Mm,
but this have to receive a very important message.
mm.
What can it be?
Yeah, so to the one person listening,
Yeah, it's
we appreciate you a lot for listening. Thank you so much. And what I want to share with you from experience, if you're looking for to make a change in your life or to deepen your experience of life and to experience the full spectrum of of things you can experience, then just start meditating. May sound a little bit boring, but it's actually the biggest adventure you can go on. To go on this adventure inside yourself, to discover yourself, all of yourself. And yeah, through meditation and awareness. Of course, also through traveling and spending time in nature, but yeah, from my experience, awareness and the meditative state is most powerful to open you up to the real beauty of life, like to the really miraculous side of life that so many people are missing out on this experience, no? I feel like, and that's also fine, of course. Everybody has their way of life. It's all good. But if you want to, it's possible for everybody as well to dive super deep. And yeah, it's about overcoming some fear, mostly the fear of boredom and the fear of missing out and the fear of slowing down. For most people, I think.
Well, the energies of fear, basically, right? Because in the end, you can separate everything into fear or love. If you break down all those emotions in the end, you break them down in like two basic roots. That's just like the fear and the love, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, in the end, or at some point, I think one can arrive at a mindset where you consider everything as love and everything is a blessing because all the fear and all the challenges and all the discomfort in your life, it's like it's just necessary to make you learn and grow and to make you aware that there is something else and to make you understand what you want, because to know what you want you also have to experience what you don't want, I guess.
Yes.
Otherwise you cannot know. So yeah, in the end everything is a blessing. It might sound crazy, guess it does to people who are not familiar with those kind of life experiences or with this kind of worldview, but I can say from my experience it's a very enjoyable worldview at the end and very interesting, very exciting, very adventurous, and doesn't have to be religious or anything or connected to some cult or to some whatever. It can be just purely your own perception of life in your own way. without any influence from any source that you don't want to be influenced from. I mean, we are all influenced by each other. We are all influencers, I think, because we all inspire each other, if we want to or not. It's always exchange of energy and inspiration with everything we do, everything we express, with our body language and our how we look at each other and facial expressions and the way we dress and the way we behave. It's like we are influencing each other. We are herd animals and we imitate each other. So that's why awareness is so important, also on the small things, and to become aware of how much impact and influence you actually have, like throughout the whole day, with every person you meet, and how much impact you can make by tiny gestures and ways of behaving, you know. So yeah, of course, first be happy and joyful whenever you can for yourself, but it can be a motivation as well for yourself, that you know that you influence other people a lot with this as well, just to show them how it's done. It's basically what clowns do, what artists do, what all kind of performers do, comedians, just demonstrating that life can be joyful. It's not necessary or not a natural rule that life has got to be difficult and whatever. It's all about influence. Change of location is very powerful. If you are somewhere where you don't feel good and you wonder why, because you want to be a happy person, then consider leaving for a while and distance from the people you are spending time with a lot. And yeah, so many things. I will give this mic to Sophia now.
Thank you. Yeah, I have actually some things I wanted to say in regards to what you just shared, which was really nice. Thank you. And so, talking about energetic influence and awareness, there's actually, and I don't know if you ever heard about human design, which is it's a combination of the I Ching and Kabbalah, astrology and quantum physics. It's some kind of new age, let's say, astrology, but it's a combination of a lot of like sciences or spiritual sciences, however you would call it, or theories. And it actually shows like an actual blueprint, an image of your energetic body, and so it talks about your open or defined centers that you have naturally. So it literally is an influence that we constantly have towards each other, not only by our words and our actions, but also through our energy. Like our vibration, like my vibration is influencing your vibrations, and yours is influencing mine, and our ascension, our waking up, our happiness or joy or pain is influencing the people around us. And then in the human design, you could even see like having a lot of open energy centers, which means you don't have a stable energy in there. So you have like a very open, changing energy. So you get like influenced by other people around you who have the center defined. So if I would, for example, have my sacral open and you guys have your sacral defined, you like your energy is influencing my sacral energy right now. My sacral is defined, so it's not like that case, but maybe my third eye and my crown is actually open, so, and my intuition. So maybe you're influencing me there energetically. Besides that, you're obviously energetically now by your mood and everything influencing anyway. So it's really interesting that this is anyway happening constantly. And I guess it's basically also what our purpose is somewhere that we talked about before briefly. Is like, sometimes for me it was really hard to like this kind of search for my purpose, like what am I supposed to do, and then like finding out that basically I don't have to do anything than just like be myself and be natural and like do what I like to do, what is fun to me to do, and then just follow with that, and then I'm already going to fulfill my purpose. Because if I heal and if I'm happy and if I feel good, then I will influence the people around me with that. And then we also I talked about this today. We also get like this like born tools with our character personality. So so one person is maybe a good speaker or good teacher, or another one is a good musician and good artist, and then another one is a good technician. So all those things are like talents and certain interests that are just like some of those millions of paths and possibilities to actually fulfill our purpose, which is always the same, basically just rising Earth's vibration and frequency, and sharing in unconditional love. And then the way how we do it actually doesn't matter. We should just choose the one that feels like lighter and more fun to us, because that's the one that is natural for us, where we're gonna have most success. So awareness, what you said, also a really important topic. Also talked about it today actually, is being aware of what you do constantly on a daily and momentary basis is actually, I believe, what is going to connect us again to oneness, to unity, to ourselves as humans, to our souls, and to our root, and to the earth, but also to everything beyond. Is to be aware of every moment, of every action that you do, to just be actually in the present moment. So now I'm speaking, so I'm just speaking. Now I'm doing this podcast, I'm just doing the podcast. I'm not going to think about what's going to be after. And to do this, to implement this in any kind of action. So there's like this Mayan abuelo, the grandfather, that I really, really appreciate a lot. He's a very wise and actually enlightened. And on his farm, if you decide to work there, you must follow like some strict rules to like work a certain time. But the most important thing is to do this work aware and conscious about what you're doing. So like even if you just feed the cow, like if you just feed the chicken, or just like clean the cow poop, you just need to be really in the present moment and like worship everything what you do. Worship like life in every state that you do it. Worship everything what you do. So like worshiping your food, what you eat, being actually present when you eat, being present when you drink, being present when you are with people, when you're with yourself, but just being always in the present moment, I think is one of the biggest keys and answers. And it is actually meditation, but like constantly implemented into our daily routine. And so I call this like little micro meditations, is when I start to eat or drink something and I bring myself back into the moment and being like, okay, I eat now, I need to be here. I just talked, I was like energized, or like maybe I'm even stressed or whatever, but now I got the food and now I need to be here because now I need to eat. So I'm going to be like connecting to my food now, come into the present moment and concentrate literally on what I'm doing. And then this is like a meditation, a micro meditation that you just do all the time. So you basically, the idea is, and then in the next state, to bring meditation from this like, I don't want to, I don't mean this, but like this stiff or like very linear, let's say, expression of it, to be like sitting and really in that state, to just actually bring it constantly into everything what we do. Because in my case, for example, this would be like more my way of meditation. Like I don't feel, for example, so much this like disciplined way of sitting in the morning 1.5 hours. Like I just really like to do everything very playful and like easy. And so when meditation for me used to be like really hard, I started, for example, with yoga, because then I do something else and it automatically brings me into my body. So it brings me into my present moment and clears out my mind. Because for me, it can be really hard to meditate if I don't have my mind clear. And that's the moment when you technically should meditate, right? But if I try in that moment where I'm stressed to meditate, it can happen that I stress myself much more, because then it doesn't work and I can just get angry and aggressive, and it's just like really exhausting for me energetically. So this I don't feel like the key for me. It's more like then doing maybe something physical to bring me in my body, which brings me into the present moment. So that means out of my head, and then I can step into the meditation. And then by practicing, you can start to bring it into like, yeah, into this like little micro meditations of every day, where you just like, when you remember, oh, I have to sit straight. When you remember, oh, I should, like, you remember those little things of like things that you want to improve. So you remember, now I eat. I should be just in the energy of eating, nothing else right now. And so every time when you find yourself going somewhere else, or getting into a state where you don't want to be in, or talking too fast, or being anxious. Just like reminding yourself where you want to be and what you actually are. And then I feel this is like every time like a meditation. And it's like something that helps so much to implement into onto a daily basis and to help you to like actually reconnect to who you are. So yeah, that's what I feel.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Actually, remember when we went in the shop just to before coming here,
Yes.
you gave me a banana
Yeah.
dry, and I was not fully present at this moment. Actually, since a few days, I'm trying to do this kind of meditation. As you say, it's like constant meditation. Every moment is the right time to be present, and you give me this banana. I just eat this, and then I just say, "Oh, I just stopped my fasting," because since we went to eat, I was fasting, and because just I was not oh, it's okay because I didn't had a plan to fast 1 day or 2 day or anything. But then I ate the banana. I say, okay, so it's the end of my fasting. But I didn't really choose it consciently. So maybe for the next chapter, if the rain is not coming too much, anyway, if the rain is coming, maybe we will change the place. But if we have time for this chapter, if our bubble is good enough, um, I would like to ask uh, the like this loss of consciousness we can have sometimes, and that make us do other things. Like for example, I took this banana, I ate it, and then for me that's mean afterward, okay, the fasting process is finished, and sometimes we are like losing present moment, but it's maybe for life, depends how we interpret it. It's maybe life giving us a message of what we have to do. So how do you consider it, like losing control of meditation process versus it's a message from life, which everything is message from life, of course, but if you feel to say something about this, you can take a moment.
Yeah, so I feel like the more you practice this, the more you want to do it, because it just makes one feel very good and very comfortable, even in a situation that you might have considered uncomfortable before. And this is a very interesting experience, that when you get in a challenging situation and you realize that it doesn't challenge you that much anymore. And maybe you realize that before you started practicing this kind of awareness, that this situation would have put you really off balance and would have really stressed you out. That it's a very beautiful experience to see that, to really see the benefit of those kind of practices, and to to fall in and out of that is just a very beautiful part of life as well, because we need contrast to have any experience at all. And um, it's not like, for example, when you see some super enlightened spiritual teacher or whatever, like, I don't know, let's say Eckhart Tolle, who always seems like super chill and all that. And it's not that he doesn't experience challenges, but he's like learned that challenges come and go. And it's like the weather, you know. If you, I mean, you don't freak out because it rains, if it's not like a very, very bad situation for you normally. And it's a lot about patience as well. Just yeah, to know that after the rain, the sunshine comes again, and just to relax and wait it out and not overreact about every emotion. That's very important for human interaction as well, I feel like, because yeah, this extreme identification with emotions leads to a lot of violence and a lot of drama and conflict, and this can all be smoothed out by just being a bit more aware and being aware of the workings of time, that nothing is permanent. And yeah, and also for me, after a while, I started to appreciate oh yeah, that's what's up.
The workings of time. Happening right next to us.
After a while, especially lately, I started to appreciate every challenge as an opportunity of training, kind of. Because this whole awareness and meditation game, it becomes so satisfying and so much fun after a while that, at least for me, when now I have a challenging situation, I catch myself very quickly. Like I'm not getting lost in worries that much anymore, because I immediately see it as an opportunity to train my awareness and my optimism. And yeah, like this, after a while, the whole perception of things just changes so much, and you recognize everything as a blessing immediately. You're like, oh, now this happened. This will for sure lead to something good. And this is true, because it's always like this. It's this concept of rain and sunshine. And then rain again. So you're super equipped with this mindset for everything that life throws at you, because you're always like, yeah, right. Now this happens, and soon something else will happen. If I just stay open to change, you know. Hello, doggy boy. Hello.
You want to say something?
He just wanted to throw it on the camera.
Mhm. Yeah, that's I think my main takeaway from my experience with spirituality is very very big improvement on life. And yeah, it gives you so much more mental space and clarity for other things, you know, if you're not always occupied with the superficial problems of life. If you can let them go easier, then you have more time for whatever your creative endeavors, for your love connections, for your family, whatever you want to spend time with. And this is the thing this is the way to get out of survival mode, because survival mode is like constant struggle, and it's nice to evolve into a mode of life where you can share and create, and where you're not all the time occupied by some kind of stress, you know. So yeah, that's what's up.
Thank you. Well, so I love how like the conversations are like shifting and moving as like and growing like kind of like a living being. And so to come back to your question and also to join with some points that you were talking about, that I actually thought about something similar when you asked, Damien. And it's exactly like what I thought. Like it's like those. It's kind of both. It's anyway always everything, because everything is always like existing and can be. Everything is possible, but it's also like it's just really meant to be like both. Like sometimes you maybe just um, it's for a certain reason that you're unconscious about something, and sometimes it is just to remind yourself about those like endless downwards or upwards going loops, because they're like not loops that go in a circle constantly. It's like a spiral, let's say, like this constant spiral that we're like moving on, because everything is always moving on that spiral, like everything is always repeating, and so it's like this concept of believing that things have to be like stable and like solid and static. It's because life doesn't work like that, and it's like this belief system that we like get born into, that we think that one day we're gonna be adults, and one day we're gonna arrive, and one day things are just gonna be, and then they stay like that, and one day we're just gonna have it all figured out, and things are gonna be done, and it's just not like that. And the older you get, the more you realize, and then you have friends that maybe already 70 years old and they're already grandparents, and they tell you that the whole thing is always going to go on, because that's how life works and how it's supposed to work. There's no arrival, because that will be death. And even death is not an arrival, it's just a transformation. We just think it's a death because we don't see the physical being of the person anymore, but there's actually many deaths, like the spiritual death or an emotional death. How often did you already become another person? How often did Leo, a part of you, already died? You're still here physically, but you've lived already many deaths. And then one day there's going to be the physical death, which doesn't really mean anything in the whole universal system. It's just the same than like this 300 old Sophias that already died, because like every half year I become another person, I think, or more often. I'm not sure. I should count maybe. And so it's about this like constant ups and downs and constant loops, which is actually my tattoo really like talks about. And I love that I can always use it in any conversation. I'm gonna like show it into
You can
here.
show it. Yeah,
I
it's the
don't,
camera.
I don't know if
Perfect.
the light is still on.
Yeah, yeah. It's the light.
More
yeah.
or less.
Well, I will look for a light.
So it's like basically saying that down is the same as up, and then there's like a balance line in between, which is straight, but that straight line is basically just an imaginary line that is somewhere in between these waves that life is moving with, because everything in the end is vibration. It's like these waves that we see here in the ocean, they move in the same pattern, same as our voices, because sound waves move like this, and everything moves like that. And so it's in this constant up and down movement. And then this line is an imaginary line that we try, I think that's what we try like in our lives to get, right? To be at this imaginary like straight line in between, and we don't really, that the line doesn't really exist. It's just going up and down, and then it's just about like how we manage, as you said, how we start to manage all that waves and movements. So that's basically also what enlightenment is about. Enlightenment is not about like any teachings in particular, or you just like being then your life is just like so easy, or I don't know. It's just about like letting go and taking things with ease, and taking like all the stress and the importance and the pain and all this profoundness of those things, because in the end everything is just kind of a game and a play, and it's just about like this like huge crazy game that we're in, and like just about not taking it so serious, as you said before, like how you ended up here being like so worried of like going maybe to this 11 o'clock podcast or not, and seeing like this angel times, and really feeling it like you have to go, but then also really feeling like you don't want to go because your body tells you to chill. And so one day later, in the end, we didn't even talk about it. We just end up at the same damn beach. Like, that's the whole island, and we're like on this tiny hidden beach. And we just end up here together, and you end up in this podcast anyway, because you were supposed to be here.
Because I followed my body wisdom. Because I did what my body told me to do, which was rest. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's
Just,
perfect. I'm happy.
yeah.
Yes. Also, because I was also not at the podcast yesterday, so everything worked out perfectly. So it's literally just about letting go of this attachment of a certain outcome, of a certain situation. Because in the end, everything is just gonna come out as it needs to come out anyway. And little things are just not so serious, and like little decisions are just not so serious. And I'm saying this here more to myself as well, because you guys saw me that other day. Like, I can loop myself into indecisiveness about so little things so easily. And I already transcended a big part, and I know that it's not It's not like that. But then to come back again to your question, it's normally that you always kind of loop back. Then always there comes a wave into the other direction, even if you know already everything, or obviously not everything. I mean, you know a few things, but you already know like a few things and a few wisdoms, but still you like always like will loop back to like your shadow patterns, to like the things of the duality that life is teaching us, because that's our work here. So it's like always gonna come back to a certain point where we maybe don't want to be, but it's like important that we accept it, that it's part of us, and then we can let go of it, and then just take it with more ease, and maybe just like laugh it away. And it doesn't mean to not feel it or to not take it serious. Yeah, to not feel it. We should feel it, but then just don't take it so serious. Like, okay, I'm suffering right now. Okay, I looped. Okay, I've been indecisive. Okay, maybe I just fell it back into a like old thought pattern that I already thought that I have understood or transcended 10 years ago or 2 or whatever. But we're just always going to come back into it, and that's fine. And that's in everything in life. And then maybe you've been in a relationship that you thought that is going to be like the one, or and then it's not, and then it's okay. And then maybe you're already 70 years old and you already have your grandchildren, and you still sometimes don't know what the heck you're actually doing here. And that's so normal. And then just going in the acceptance that we don't need to know everything, because we're not supposed to know everything. We're not supposed to figure everything out, because it's exactly what it is about here. Just like letting go, and like flowing, but also taking decisive action, taking the authority over our own lives, because that's an important thing as well. That often in this like path of consciousness and spirituality, like when you grow into consciousness, you think, okay, I cannot decide how things go, because anyway, life is just happening, and I just need to surrender and flow with it. But then at the same time, there's still a free will, and still we do create our lives and what we want to experience in that life. So we must take authority over our own life. We must take decisive action. It's not all about just like, I'm just going to go with the flow. Because then you will arrive at some point, at a moment where you felt like, wow, this happened to me. I flowed maybe a little bit too much. I trusted too much into that universe is guiding me. And then you end up in a situation where those angel times that's been guiding you so long are telling you you've been trusting too long in higher powers. Like it's always like the taking the responsibility, the authority outside of us. But it's not. It's like, and it's, for me, I think it's the most freeing feeling, the most liberating knowledge is to know that you are responsible for yourself and for your life, and that you are the creator of your life and your reality, and that you create everything. And even the hard situations you create by looping yourself into fear, into worries, into stress. Like, but in the end, if we break down things, it's always our own creation, always our own responsibility. And in the end, it's so wonderfully liberating to know that, because you cannot victimize yourself or make anybody else responsible, or tell like it's your fault or their fault, or life just made me like that, and blah blah blah. No, it's like all in your hand, and it's so wonderful, because it means it's also all in your hand to make life just really amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aho. So let's go with authenticity and be authentic. Here we go.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's like,
there you go.
yeah, let's just be authentic about our authenticity. Nice.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about expression and authenticity, whatever that means.
Not knowing if there's enough energy for expression, authenticity, or like expression right now, so just be authentic. So,
So what I'm what I'm trying to communicate with this is basically, when you're tired, be tired. When you're angry, be angry. When you're happy, be happy. This from my observation in the Western world, so to say. People get really tense up and tighten up because they don't express their emotions. And there's many ways you can express your emotions or practice to express your emotions without exposing yourself to the public and without hurting anybody or bothering anybody. And even anger, for example, very simple techniques like screaming. I don't know if you can go to, if you feel ashamed if somebody hears you scream, then practice first in where you think that nobody can hear you. Go to your basement or scream into a pillow. Press your face into a pillow and scream as loud as you can. And hit the pillow like I don't know, find something you can express your anger on. If you're angry, it's so important to just keep the energy moving, and not store it in your body. And also happiness, very important. I feel like so many people are not expressing either of their spectrum of emotions. And yeah, if you and there's many outlets where you can do that and practice that, like classes and workshops, and spiritual communities are very much focused on that, actually, like good and authentic spiritual communities. It's not, spirituality doesn't mean to go to follow guru and to whatever. Can be as well if you want to, but for me it means most to experience every aspect of myself and to express every aspect of myself. And that's what I find in many like spiritual and self-development workshops and communities. Those are very safe and inspiring spaces to do that and to learn that, and then after a while it becomes easier to always do that, and you just don't care anymore. Maybe you start to dance in the supermarket or sing while you're walking out in public in the city. And yeah, that's a beautiful mode of being, and it's all comes down to practice in the end. It's something that everybody can practice. It's just we're not used to it, but it doesn't mean that we can change that, and it's very beneficial for overall well-being to express emotions. Very, very beneficial, and that's what I mean by authenticity. Just don't try to please anybody. There will always be people who will be triggered by what you do. Not everybody needs to like you, and you don't need to like everybody. I heard this saying once that you can love somebody, but it doesn't mean that you have to like them. And yeah, it's very true, and it just opens up so much space for your personal development if you start to open up your emotions in any way possible, and don't have to go super crazy all of the sudden, but you can do step by step practice and find outlets and spaces where you can do that. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a very important topic. Thank you that we start that for this chapter, authenticity and expression. So I think what's really important about it, as you said, like with a expression, for example, of aggressivity, generally like pent up emotions. So I read once this really interesting thing about, and it's in a very nice book. I can recommend it to everybody. It's called The Pathway of Surrender, Letting Go is the name of the book, The Pathway of Surrender by J.P. Hawkins. And it's basically the path to enlightenment, but without any kind of special tools or chakra alignments or ayahuasca ceremonies or whatever. It's just about like just letting go, what we talked about before. So this is basically everything that you truly need to do in life. And he was talking about he calls it the biggest misconception about Freud's theory, about that suppression is really bad, So then everybody kind of automatically start to think that expression is a solution. And it is in some way, but now like talking about healthy way of expressing ourselves, because I think in this whole thing, okay, we don't want to suppress, so we go into expression. We started to, like, a lot of people started to, like, just express their unfiltered emotion towards the person that they feel it to, or like, the people around them. And we often forget that this is just, like, something that we create. It's like our emotion is not necessarily really caused by the other people very often. It's often just something that creates inside of us based on our trauma patterns and emotional patterns. And so then we tend to like express it in like an aggressive way, for example, towards our partner, because we believe that it is our partner who created this emotion, but actually it's ourselves and our like patterns. There's like this beautiful video that I saw once of a woman. She said like, okay, so if you have a wound on your arm and I touch you here, what does hurt you? Is it me or is it the wound? So it is a wound that hurts you, right? It is a wound that you already carry. It is something that you already have, and so it's also what can create, for example, your emotional reaction. So what we tend to do then maybe is like to express this onto somebody else. So it's important to like express it in like healthy manners. So like express it through through writing, through breathing, through meditation, through swimming, through screaming, but like not on somebody, but just like into the void, or giving this emotion to Mother Earth and like making a hole and screaming into the hole and then just like bury it or something like that. Um, and to like, but letting emotions like pass by and like get into a state of observance, like observing your own emotion, observing you from the outside, how this emotion flow through you, maybe where they come from, but even that is not so important, like the analysis behind it. It's just like observing, okay, right now all these emotions are coming up, and now I can let them go. And then you find a healthy way to let them go, so you don't go to the person that you think caused this emotion and like just throw it onto them. No, you just like let this emotion go by, express it in a healthy manner. So, for example, like write about it or scream in a forest or whatever. And then afterwards, you can go to that person and talk about, okay, so this and this and this behavior created a certain emotion in me. If it's possible, I would like you to not repeat this, or it just didn't feel nice. And then you could go into a conversation. But after that emotion passed, which is really important, to not like use the heat of a moment for any kind of confrontations, for example. And so expression is really important, expression of your true self, honestly, what you feel, but also like I think not if you do it with a person, not from try to not to do it from an emotional state. So expressing your emotions through like more creative manners, like just like expressing it to something, and then later talking about it with people and with the person that you think it caused it to, but also generally with people, talking with people about those things is really good. About everything that's bothers you emotionally, that lies heavy on you, but also there's something that I learned is like to ask for permission before doing that, because sometimes people just come and they just like put all their baggage on you. Or I did this already often as well, that I just come and I put all my baggage onto somebody and I just talk like a huge monologue like I'm doing right now. And just like being talking, and then maybe this person was not really ready for all that, and then just doesn't know yet maybe how to put their limits. So it's also good for them. It's like a court. It's a situation that both also create, right? So it's also important for the other person to experience a situation that maybe they don't want to be in, so that they can learn to set healthy boundaries. We all must go through a lot of like situations we don't want to be in, so that we learn actually to set our boundaries and just say, hey, you know what, I'm really sorry what you're going through, but right now I don't want to be that cup to hold all that emotion. um, so, and then important to go into acceptance and understanding that, because sometimes like in the first moment it's like hard, because you're like, wow, this person just really like kind of rejected me. It feels like rejection, right? But it's because we all take everything on the personal state. Like we believe that everything and the most important and everything just is like around ourselves, which is the ego that makes us believe that everything that happens is happening because of us, but it's not. So if a person is not in the state to be your cup to hold all your emotion, it's normally just that this person already has a cup that is quite full. So that's why they cannot take so much other waters inside of their cup right now, because their cup is full already with their own water, or maybe also water of other people and everything pended up. So then to respect and that somebody is able to set their limits and boundaries, even if it feels for you like a rejection, and maybe even somebody that you love or is important to you, and then just accept that a person can always just give if they themselves have. Like if you don't have enough to give, then you cannot give in that moment. So then what happens really often from that point is that people give from a necessity, from a thing that I think I have to do this now, just like a moral kind of thing, instead of truly feeling like you can give right now.
In form of people pleasing.
Exactly, a form of
Right.
people pleasing.
Not beneficial to anybody.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't help the other person. It doesn't help the person that you think that you're helping right now. It doesn't help you. It's just gonna create tensions between your relationship with that person. It's gonna let you be like empty, end up empty, and it's not the way. So it's really healthy to put a limit. It's really healthy also to not take it personal if somebody puts you a limit, and just like respect that this is like a boundary of that person that has nothing, like really couldn't have any less to do with you, and then just respecting that. So I think this is all like really important thing about authenticity and expression. It's like this circle that gets created, right? So there's like one person that wants to express, and then another one that is also authentic to themselves and true. So they express maybe that right now they can't take your expression, or they can, and then they do it from their heart, and it's really nice and it's beautiful. And if not, it's also nice and it's beautiful. So it's like all about like listening to yourself, communicating your truth, um, being patient, and also like letting emotions pass by and observe them, because in the end we are not our emotions. They're just something that goes through our body, like something basically almost biological, like hormones, like menstrual cycles. Like it's like natural things that just happen. And it's the same about emotions. It's a natural thing that just happens. So we shouldn't make it so much our personality. So I think if a strong emotion comes, what we need to do is like get into observance and kind of like transcend that person right now that is going through this emotion, like observe it and just like let it go through, and like let it go, and like observe yourself having this emotion, and then understanding that maybe it's not even your emotion, or maybe it is your emotion, but it's not caused by the situation that is happening right now. It's actually caused from something very old, that you still haven't like completely healed now, and it's not actually your partner, it's not actually your best friend, it's not actually that stranger that did a strange view on that street that did this strong emotions to you right now. It's just like something that you've experienced that created that. So then just letting go and not like falling into that and like getting into these loops of emotions. The Buddhists say that emotions are actually just supposed to be, oh, that's so cool. What is that? Uh, to be 90 seconds, not longer. So that emotions are actually just like an interval, like a wave of 90 seconds that passes through you. And every second that you stay longer in an emotion is you consciously deciding to loop, or unconsciously, but deciding to loop into the emotion. So, so let the emotion come, feel it, then detach from it, observe it, and then just let it go and come as it's supposed to be. It's just a wave, like all the waves. Just like let the wave come. It's, imagine you're in the ocean. You're not gonna be like, if you try maybe to swim with a wave, and then after a few seconds it just cannot take your weight anymore, and you just let it pass by. Or if a big wave comes, you just jump over it or you dive under, but you always like find your way to deal with the wave. Sometimes it's a very fun wave and you just jump with it, and sometimes it's like super big and it drowns you, but it's just for a few seconds. So you don't stay there underwater and hold on the stones or hold on like the sand and trying to be underwater. No, at some point you go up again when the big wave came, and you start to breathe. So it's the same with the emotion. Like just let the big wave come, but then with the wave, when the wave is over, like don't hold on underwater. Like don't hold your breath. Just like come up and start breathe again. And yeah, I like this metaphor. I just yeah. The ocean inspired me, the waves. So yeah, that's what I have to say about this. Thank you. You want to?
If you don't have anything to add, maybe you can take the camera, because now with the dark we don't have all our setup. but we're going with the wave, right? The setup changed, but we're still here. We're still happy to be here with a lot of love and a lot of beautiful sentiments. Um, Thank you for this amazing chapter about authenticity. Uh, Maybe we can open another one. Are you up to open a new chapter?
Maybe one more.
One, the last one. Okay, the last chapter. Then we close the podcast. Thank you very much to be here, both of you. Well, because life bring you here. Um, the Leo, because you. It's. I don't know if it's very good for the public to see this. It's funny. Leo, if you can, yeah. Thank you very much to you and to life to bring you in this podcast because it was really magical moment. And you, Sophia, can take them. Yeah. Thank, yeah. Thank you very much. Um, so it can be about to be grateful about gratitude because yeah. So let's go with this one.
Well, talking about gratefulness just right away puts me into that state of like deep gratefulness, which is like, ah, it's really, really, really amazing. And I think at some state of my life, a few years ago, I thought uh, that gratefulness is the absolute key to happiness. I don't believe this now anymore because, like, I think thought patterns and belief systems is the same like science. It's like always just a fact until you find out a new fact. So, um, but I do believe that gratefulness can be a big key to happiness because when you learn to be truly grateful for everything, then you can just be like also only happy about it, right? So for me, it started all with like gratefulness for to be alive, because I think that's like a big topic, like to be grateful for actually being here and being alive. I used to suffer a lot from depression when I was younger and didn't really want to be alive. So the first the first time when I learned to be grateful to be alive was also when my life really changed and my mind said, oh, that's something that I really want to share because it helps, I think, a lot of people. And so depression and like sadness about being alive, for example, is is all just like a negative mindset that we create from our small self, which is the ego basically. It's like a small voice inside of us that has absolutely its value to exist and it's meant to exist, but it's also meant to not be completely listened to all the time and to not be like leading us through life. It's just like this little voice that with like the years and the time, this voice gets really powerful when we're teenagers. And then with time, we need to like let go of that voice and understand that it doesn't have the power over us because we do have the power over everything. Consciousness is the most powerful thing in that universe. So when you are constantly in a negative mindset, that's what you create around yourself. So to become happy is basically to change like the mindset from a negative to a positive state, and this like little small self is always giving you like negative impulse thoughts. And yeah, we experience this, I think, very strong when we're teenagers, like self-doubt and like awkwardness, feeling uncomfortable. Then it's like getting this voice very, very strong, and then later we need to understand that we need to change our mindset into like more positive direction. And for me at that time when I was 16, it really helped for me to like change my mindset by understanding that everything, like, now I know better words for it, everything is duality, so everything has like two sides of a coin. And so every situation, no matter what situation, will always have at least 0.0001% of positive thing about it. No matter how negative or bad you think it is, there you always will find something good about it. So to change your way of like thinking, to recondition your thinking basically, you can just start to concentrate constantly like on that 1% or maybe even 10 or 20 or whatever you believe at the time percentage of a situation that exists that is positive. And like this, you can recondition your mindset and get out of depressions, for example, and negative mindsets and recreate and change your life and reality. So that's like a very easy key, I feel like. And in the beginning, I would feel like I would lie to myself because I was so negatively conditioned that I thought that the situation is just negative. And if I'm concentrating on the positive part, I'm basically just lying to myself. And as soon as I got myself reconditioned and slowly after going from the negative extreme to this like positive extreme, finding the balance, I realized that I was lying to myself before, thinking that everything is negative, but I thought that I'm a realist. I was not a realist. I was just highly negative. So, so in that process, I felt to come back to our topic of gratitude, I felt for the first time. I was at the sea, by the way, which is my favorite place. Is the sea. I just love it, the water, and I would meditate without knowing what meditation is at that age, and just look at the sea and just like observe my thoughts and change the way that I'm thinking and trying to concentrate on that, like always on that like 1% positive view and outlook on a situation. And I was at the sea and looking at the waves and I just like let go from for a moment from like all the suffering that I was feeling and all this like personality kind of like all this like human part, and I just became like one with the water and with the waves and with life and with the beach, and just felt like one of all those sand corns on the beach. And I just felt for the first time real like lightness, happiness, and gratitude. Like the for more and foremost gratitude to be alive for the first time in my life. And I was 16 at the time. It was the first time that I felt real gratitude to actually be alive and lightness about it. And from this on, like life couldn't go back as it was before, right? Because it's always spiraling. So something changed in that point, and I would slowly start to change, and my mindset would start to change, and um, I would recondition myself, and life got really amazing on the path. And sometimes it's really hard, and sometimes I fall into holes, but it's, as you said, it's like getting softer and softer. Like these waves, they don't feel so big anymore at some point. And this is 10 years ago now that I had this moment at the beach in Mojaca in Spain, south of Spain. And that is where the journey of gratefulness for me began. And it started with being grateful to be alive. And then you start to become grateful for everything. Like practice gratefulness is so important. Grateful for your meal, grateful for the people who prepared this meal for you, grateful for the sunrise and the sunset, grateful for the rain as for the sun, and just like always put yourself back into this gratefulness for everything that you get. Because I think it's so sad if you cannot be grateful for what you get. And it is, I believe, really one of the biggest keys, or a big key to happiness, is to practice constantly gratefulness for every little thing, for a butterfly that flies by, or this like little, how do you call this, red bugs that sit on you, the cute ones with the dots, ladybug, yeah, marienkäfer, like the little ladybug sitting on your leg, or when the sunlight kisses you, or you feel hot and then a fresh breeze just comes by, and then just like being grateful for all those little moments, because that what it's truly about, like understanding the gratefulness. And I mean with this, how great, how big so little things can actually be in representing the key for you actually to be happy. You don't need a lot. You just need to know how to be grateful for every little thing. Yeah. Thank you. I'm very grateful
I'm
for this.
I'm very grateful for this the sharing which you just made to us, and as we were saying when it was a break, even if one person can listen this, I think this can change a lot of things. So thank you very much for this person, for me also. And while I will editing I will be very happy to receive again the message, and I'm sure in 1 year or 5 year maybe I will lost myself in another loop, then I can listen back this messages. So thank you very much for this. Maybe Leo, you have something to add on this to finish, and then it will be the end of this podcast, or is it? Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, very, very interesting and inspiring what you just said. I also want to listen to this again. And yeah, there's not really, not really anything to add, but I feel the same, and yeah, it's basically how it is. It's all about focus. Like you are what you focus on eventually, and yeah, even if you feel bad and you become aware of that you feel bad, it's because you focus on the situation that's triggered this uncomfortable emotion. And with this awareness, you can choose to focus on something else. It's really funny. Of course, sometimes it's intense and it takes a bit more time to refocus and all that. But it can be made very simple as well. Like, for example, if you have just one memory in your life that feels good to you, just one experience or something you like doing. Can be a hot shower, or can be super small thing. Doesn't have to be an amazing holiday or whatever. Just some feeling you enjoy, or some food, or some smell of a flower, a certain flower, or whatever, or the sunshine on your face, or something like this. And you can choose to think about that, and to imagine that, and to feel into that. And it doesn't mean to suppress the current emotion, I think. You should still feel discomfort and anger and sadness and all this, of course. It's not about suppressing anything. But from my experience, what dissolves and changes emotions most effectively and most quickly is to just feel it in your body. Just see where it is. Where is this emotion? Does it cause? Sometimes emotions are so intense that they cause you pain, like in your stomach or whatever, or you feel some muscle tighten up or some tension in your body. And then to just feel this and not analyze it, and don't worry about it, but just feel it as pure sensation, then actually in this exact moment when you feel it, it starts to dissolve. And then you can choose to think about something else, because what really keeps the emotion alive at this point is thinking about what caused it. And as soon as you felt it and moved it in that way and allowed it to flow on like a river, you can choose to think about some uplifting thing. And this is very healing, and it's as Sophia said, it's like a training, and you can really train your brain to be more positive. It's super important when you're depressed, because it's actually the only way you can get out of depression, is to start changing your mindset, and outside circumstances will follow your focus. So yeah, as you said, if there's just 1% or some little thing or some sensation that feels good to you, that makes your body feel relaxed, it makes you feel calm, it makes you feel just relaxed basically and safe. And to focus on that as often as possible, just to think about it, feel it as often as possible, imagine it. It transforms you completely, literally, because it changes the neural pathways in your brain, because that's all you are. You are your habits basically. You are how your nerves react to outside circumstances. That's how you are. That's who you are. That's your personality. And if you can change that, and you can, everybody can. It's like training a dog or whatever. It's or learning a new language or learning some sport or some game or whatever. We constantly learn something. We adapt constantly to our circumstances. So, and if you start to see it like that, if you become aware of that you can really train yourself to just feel better most of the time. It's really mind blowing. It's literally it opens up so many possibilities, and yeah, it's super worth doing that. It's just can turn your life around completely. And that's basically how it's done. Just train yourself to be more happy.
If I can add something to put it into I would like to, if it's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that you said this and explained the point more, I would like to put like some very like everyday examples into like into perspective to understand how to like recondition and retrain your brain. So that could be something as easy as somebody that you like is not answering you, and you now have the choice to think, okay, that person doesn't like me, or I'm bad, or I'm fat, or I'm ugly, or whatever, like all those terrible thoughts, and but you can also just choose to think, well, that person is really busy right now, or that person has so much to do with their own life right now, or that person saw the message and then something life happened and just couldn't answer anymore, or that person just works differently than I do, so communication maybe doesn't work so great, because that really happens a lot of times, that somebody's just not really in your frequency and in like really on your wavelength, and communication just doesn't work so linear and well. So it's like, just in that case, just to choose a reality that is not as painful to you, so to choose to not hurt yourself by your thoughts.
Different degree.
Exactly.
It just has to be a little bit more comfortable. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It doesn't have to be utopic or anything, but just the next best possible option, so to say.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. And later it will just then you will not even care anymore if the person maybe doesn't like you. But at a state where you just feel really bad, and maybe you're in a depression and a very low self-esteem, then it's just healthy for you to stop thinking that the person is not texting you because they don't like you, because something is wrong with you, but just because it's like in the life of that person something is going on. So in 99% of the case, this is actually the truth. It's actually almost always just something going on in the life of the other person, and it has nothing to do with our own life, like really nothing. It's like very little cases where it's actually really because of us that something is happening, and normally it's just life happening, and everybody has their own life. And I love the sentence so much that my a school teacher of mine, a German school teacher, just said once, that really changed my life, and it was, nobody thinks as much as about you as you do. So if you have this arriving into your mind and being like,
Oh my god.
wow, that's so true. Everybody's like so busy and thinking about how they appear, how they look, what others think about them, that actually there's not so much time left that others really think about you. It's just yourself thinking all the time about you. And then everybody else is also just all the time thinking about themselves. And that's just what's happening. So everything is really not so serious. And yeah, that's really nice.
just to be a bit more relatable, I'm also coming from pretty severe depression and addiction and dissatisfaction and resentment and anger and just like it's very deep into those kind of mind games. And yeah, I made it to find my center again, which is relaxation and calm and joy and being interested in life and experiencing and socializing and all this. So yeah, just to emphasize the power of awareness. Yeah.
And that for nobody of us, it's easy. Like, I think that's important also. Like, nobody of us is alone with what we feel. We always tend to think that we're the only ones who suffer and we're the only ones who have to go through all of that. But no, we all suffer. That's what life is about. Also, again, coming back to Buddhism, that's what they say. Like, life is like the life experience is supposed to be just about suffering. I don't know how much I agree with that, but it's true that we all have to experience, and we do all experience suffering, and it's just natural. And my suffering is not bigger than the other suffering, and the other suffering is not bigger than mine. Of course, some people choose. Maybe we're going on a meta level here, and I kind of like to stay now, not so meta, to be like more accessible with my information, but just because somebody is having like a kind of more traumatic or more heavy experience, it doesn't mean that our suffering is less valuable or that their suffering is stronger, or the other way around. Just because we experience something very heavy doesn't mean that somebody else who's suffering is like that their suffering is not as valuable as ours. And that's like where people like to go into like this suffer competition, who has a bigger trauma. And I used to do that as well when I was really young. And it's really just about understanding that we're not alone, and we all kind of in one or the other way have to go through the same thing, and in the end we're anyway all one, but like but that's a different topic. But we're not alone with the things that we experience, and in one moment we will understand that there are a lot of people out there that understand us, and that we all share a lot of experiences in common, because in the end we're all alive and we're all living on this planet, and so we kind of all go through more or less similar things, and I think it can be very soothing to know that you're not alone. You're not alone, and I'm not alone, and yeah, you're not alone. We are here together, and I'm really serious about this. We are. If you ever want to reach out because you feel like you need to talk to me, or I think maybe to anybody of us, we're here because like all of us went through suffering, and just the wisdoms that we have right now, it's not like you get born with this. It's something that you learn through experiences, and so be patient with yourself, because life has its circles and cycles, and life has a certain like rule of how development works, and we have to go through certain stages and situations to become where we need to be. And sometimes where we want to be somewhere else where we are right now, but then it's just about like accepting that it's just part of development, and that we are always exactly where we are supposed to be. It's like a plant. When you plant a seed, you cannot expect after one day to have a flower there in the ground. You need to water the seed. You need to give it time to grow. And then it needs enough sunlight, it needs enough care, and then with the time there's gonna come the stem and the first leaves, and then there's gonna come a flower bud, and then the flower bud just slowly is gonna open its petals, and then basically it's already over. Then afterwards the petals are just gonna fall, and gonna become earth again. So we sometimes want to forget that truth, that we are nature, and believe that nature is something outside of us, but it's not. We are nature, as flowers and animals and the elements are nature. We are as well. We're part of them. So as a tree and as a flower and as the moon has its cycles, we also do. And that means that we need to follow certain stages of development. You need to plant the seed, and then you care for the plant, and only in the end we can open our petals.
We can end with this, I think. Yeah, yeah, it's perfect. Thank you, Rich. Thank you. Thank you so much. See you next one. Okay, thank you very much to stay until the end of this podcast. Now, if you liked it, please put a like, a comment, subscribe, share to your friends, family. Thank you very much for listening. All these beautiful messages, and if what Leo was saying told to you resonate with you, you can also book a coaching with him. He can help you to go through this spiritual journey, or maybe quit habits also that you want to quit in your life. You will find the link in the description of the website where you can find everything about this. And this video has been sponsored by Café Intégral. Now I guess you know Café Intégral, which is a completely different way of drinking coffee. It's a raw coffee, no roasting process. And so if you need energy, have good productivity, or open your eyes and be awake, that's the best way to drink coffee. And it's very good, very good, by the way. It don't taste like roasted coffee. So you will find also the link in the description, and you have a promotional code. You have a special discount with podcast. You just write podcast in caféintégral.fr. And also for Leo session, you can use podcast, and you will have a special gift for this. Thank you very much. See you next time.